what I did was I went to a company that has the rights to Farberware and Farberware Professional, and I gave them the rights to my patent, and they make it and they sell it, and I earn a royalty every time one of these sells.
Howdy, Brian. We are super excited to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And you have had a really interesting story to unravel here. Over the past 20 years, you've patented 15 successful products, along with helping others take their ideas and turn them into successful products. Additionally, you are a public speaker at SCORE, author of 3 books, and the founder of the National Investment Club. So I'm curious, could you tell us how you got started in all of this?
It's the National Inventor Club.
Inventor Club, sorry.
We need investments afterwards, some of us, but for the most part, it's the Inventors Club. And I'm really excited about just launching this Inventor Smart Community app, which is a social media hub for inventors and entrepreneurs and startups. So I appreciate it, and thank you for having me again. So I've been pretty active in the inventing world, but thinking back in the day of when I first started coming up with ideas, I guess when I was younger, I was always kind of intuitive and interested in things of how they were made, how they worked, how people use things. And I guess as my journey in life kind of kept going, I realized that I was jotting down all these different ideas. And one day I just opened it up and said, you know what? I got some good stuff here. Are these specifically for me, or is it for other people too, from a marketing perspective? And I started to just cross off things that already existed or very similar to what I was thinking about, and some that could have potential. And then just started to vet a little bit more, ask some people their opinion and advice, and had some levels of success with some of my products.
Yeah, and it's kind of a saying that some people have more creativity in their blood or something along those lines. Did you ever come across an entrepreneur who maybe struggled with the creativity process of creating a new product or an idea?
Sure, all the time, and myself too. I mean, look, it doesn't matter who you are, right? You could be a doctor, lawyer, unemployed, senior citizen, student. At some point or another, somebody comes up with an idea for an invention. And you kind of get really excited when you come up with this idea, and you got to figure out, is this something that I should work on or not? Is it somebody else's invention? Am I not finding it out there? Maybe because somebody gave it a try already and it just didn't work out, or they have a patent and they didn't commercialize it. So there's a lot of things along the way, but for anybody, I think, just kind of going through, coming up with an idea to be able to vet it and see if it makes sense or not. So me personally, sure, I've had a bunch of ideas. I have 15 issued patents. Not every one of them was commercialized. Some were good and some are good, and some I just kind of put on the side. And then there's other ones that I came up with and I didn't get a patent on it, and I tested it and vetted it, and it didn't work. So I moved on to my next idea, or I realized that when I was working on it that it was somebody else's invention. So I stopped. That's the painful part. But for the most part, when you're in that zone of coming up with ideas, I think that you just keep coming up with them.
Awesome. Okay. And you kind of spoke on it a little bit. Sometimes you come up with an idea and it's already taken. How could you possibly do some checks? What's some run-throughs you could go through to make sure that that product idea hasn't already existed?
Yeah. Look, many people, they tell me that they go down the aisles of Walmart and it's not there, so they're going to be a gazillionaire, and that's a great dream to have. But it's important to really do your research, and it's simple enough to just, we're lucky we have all these search engines out there. And now we have even further than that, we have even AI. But these search engines, like if you put in a descriptive term of what your idea is. So let's say I came up with this pen and I want to put a LED light on top of it. I want to make it into a lighted pen. So I would put in LED light on top of pen, or LED pen light, or just different types of search terms to see what comes up. And if it does, then I click on images because I'm more of a visual person, and many people are. You'll go through and you'll see, are there lights with pens with lights? How many different versions are there? Yeah, that one looks similar, but mine is different. Okay, so put that aside and just keep kind of vetting what you find. But if it's pretty much the same thing, I'm done. I'll wait for my next idea. If it's something that still has a chance, okay, I'll keep working on it, and I'll put it to the side and keep building and keep searching. But then what I do is a patent search, and I have a professional that does it. It could be a patent attorney or agent. And what they'll do is they'll take what you came up with and the description and the images, if you have some that you might have drawn out, and they'll compare your idea to other patents that are already existing or have already expired. When I say existing, it could be either active or expired. And if it's expired, then you can make it, and I can make it, and anybody can make it, but most likely you're not going to get a patent on it. If it's something that comes out where, I see that yours is unique and these are the reasons why, from that patentability opinion, then there is potential for you to get a patent. And look, there are many products out there that aren't patented, and doesn't mean necessarily that just because you have a patent that you're going to be a gazillionaire. The patent is something that for us as inventors can give us a little intellectual property protection. So if I want to make it and kind of have a monopoly on it myself for 20 years for a utility patent, 15 for a design patent, then that gives me some level of protection that, hey, if you're going to infringe on my intellectual property, I have something to tell you to back off, rather than if I didn't. If I was looking to license it to earn royalties, where let's say I wanted to find a company that's in the business, have them manufacture it, have them distribute it, and I earn a royalty, it's always good for them to have your rights to your intellectual property, basically renting the rights to your intellectual property, so they can make it and sell it, and you can earn a royalty from it. And that's licensing. So, like, for example, I have a bunch of inventions here, but like I came up with these tongues that when you pull up, they have grooves in it. So they're small, medium, and large. So, you know, when you buy tongues and it's just like, poop, it pops open right away. And then you pull the lock and it locks. So there was space on this plate. So what I did was I made those grooves. So now it's small, medium, and large. So what I did was I went to a company that has the rights to Farberware and Farberware Professional, and I gave them the rights to my patent, and they make it and they sell it, and I earn a royalty every time one of these sells. Then on the other side, not to get too deep into all this other stuff, but so there's some products that when I do my search and I see that it's available, sometimes, like I said, you might have heard design patent and utility patent or non-provisional patent. That means that the design patent is just ornamental. So like for this, I'll show you a quick example. So during COVID, there were paper towels that I had in my house, and you know how it was to get any paper goods during the pandemic. So I was treasuring and just take care of all your paper goods, right? So paper towels. I realized that when your hands are wet or dirty, so you wash your hands or they're dirty, you're putting your hand on top of the paper towel to pull the sheet off, and it kind of looks something like this on many people. So I was asking my friends and family, like, take a picture of the top of your paper towel roll. And they're like, oh, Brian, what are you doing right now? What are you up to? Just take a picture. And it was gross. It was, this is a little exaggerated, obviously, but this is some hot sauce and chocolate and something like orange juice or whatever and water, and it dries up. So what I did was I came up with this cap that goes into the inner tube of any paper towel roll. And now when your hands are wet or dirty, I'll put it on this side because this is nice and clean on this side. So when your hands are wet or dirty, it just goes right into the inner tube. And now when your hands are wet or dirty, you put it on top and you pull the sheet off and it stays clean and dry. So we talked about licensing to earn royalties, and then there's some that you can manufacture and start your own business or add to your product line and just continue to, make it and sell it and make that margin, the profit margin yourself.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, a lot right there. I guess kind of dealing with the beginning of it, you have this process, or you had this idea of a product that you want to put out there. What's the first step someone should take once they know that it doesn't exist?
So that one is the most important, because it stinks to get to step 3, 4, and 5, even to step 2 when you didn't do step 1, especially when you're going to be putting your time, money, energy, effort into it, right? And to know that you're working on somebody else's patent or somebody else's invention, or it already exists, to have that space. So when you do know that it's, or it's just an opinion, but hopefully you can continue to have peace of mind that it's patentable, then what I do is I like to sketch it out, draw it out, make a 3D print out of it. There's plenty of people with 3D printers or companies with 3D printers. You just need these CAD files to be able to make, and a product designer or an engineer can end up kind of making what you're thinking about to be able to bring it to life. So I think a prototype is really important to have, because you have it in your head or you drew it and you want to see it. So many times also what I've done is I've just taken things that already exist and ripped them apart and take pieces from here and take pieces from here. And maybe there's something similar that exists that I'm going to kind of twist or turn or break or whatever, or rip the guts out of it to be able to make it so it's similar to what my idea is about. And I think that that's a really important one, is to make it come to life. So some people can do a 3D print, some people can sew something, some people can use a CNC machine, make something wood or bend metal, whatever it is, cut and sew, I was saying. But then there's other people that maybe came up with something way too complicated, and that's okay, but it might cost, or it might be difficult to make a prototype. So there's even people that, and myself included, that can make a 3D animated video to be able to show it almost like it looks like the real thing, but it's just a video. And just to be able to explain it to somebody and show your visual of what you're imagining to somebody without having to make it yourself.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. So how do you make sure there's actually a market out there for that product you want to create? Someone could create or have an idea for a product, but if nobody really wants it, right, it won't be successful. There will be no royalties for it, no licensing for it, really. So how do you make sure there's a product or a market out there for the product you're trying to sell?
It's interesting. And when do you do that? Do you do that before you start spending the money and time and energy and effort, or do you do it like a little further on? Well, you're right. I think around this point is where you want to be able to gauge or vet the market. I mean, I could talk to you about it all day, but it's probably easier to show you a prototype, right? Or an animated video, or something that I ripped apart or sewed together. I think that from that point, you can show it around, because we haven't filed a patent yet. We came up with the idea, we took it out of our head, we made this prototype. You might want to get some intellectual property protection before you start showing it around, okay? And it's easy enough to get what's called a provisional patent application. You can file that. It's basically a filing date, and it gives you the right for 1 year to say that your idea is patent pending while you're exploring the market. Or you can have people sign a non-disclosure agreement. And what that means is that if I have you sign one, that you're not going to talk about my idea to anybody without my permission. So you can have both, or you can have one that you use to be able to vet and say, hey, what do you think about my idea? Is it something that you would buy? How much would you buy it for? Actually, I have one in my trunk right now. Is that how much you'd pay? Would you buy it right now? No. Okay, tell me why. Well, I don't like this and I don't. Okay, well, thanks for your feedback. Now I know that you weren't going to buy it in the first place, but you didn't want to tell me that it stinks because you might hurt my feelings. So who is it that you're asking? Are you asking your best friend in your family that if they tell you your idea sucks, are you ever going to speak to them again? Are you going to be mad at them? Did you just break your relationship with them? So that's also another thing, is how do you vet and who do you ask? And I use different types of platforms and different ways to ask the right people what they think of my idea. I'll give you an example. Just as another way of doing things, these days, there are plenty of online type of survey platforms. One of my sponsors for my Invent a Smart community app is PickFu. And there you put, hey, I have 2 logos. Which logo you think is best? Or I have an idea for an invention. I'm thinking about this design or this design. What do you think? And they're all under non-disclosure agreement that you show them. And that's a way to gauge what kind of, feedback you could get from people that you don't know. But like I did, I built a brand out of trademarks. And before I did, I had a list of things that I was working on and what type of trademarks I was going to use. And it was related to teens and tweens. So what I did was I went into a Barnes and Noble bookstore, cafe. I don't even know if these exist anymore. But I had a survey written down, and I told the teens and tweens, if you fill this out, I'll give you a $10 gift card to the cafe. They were there already, like, yeah, okay. So it was a 10-minute survey, and that was invaluable to me. It helped me to make decisions on what I should work on and what I shouldn't. What were the top selections of what might be best for me and what not. So that helped me. And I had a line of clothing, backpacks, brand, stationery, all these things that were in Target, Walmart, Sears, Zellers, Great Tiger in Canada, and all these other things, because I built a brand out of my idea that I got feedback from. And the same thing with my paper towel topper, my cold ties, my collapsible egg tray, these snack containers, and different things. Like, do you think that this way of scooping, do you find this is a big enough problem? Like, these are things that I ask as I'm inventing, and I have my go-to people at this point of who I should ask, and they're brutally honest. You have plenty of those relatives and friends too, so you want to take everybody's opinions.
Wow, that's some invaluable advice right there. I've actually never heard anyone use that reference of buying gift cards at like a store, like a shop, and then kind of interviewing the people there to get them to, because they're already there, they already want to get something. So that's very smart. Very good. So now you've tested the market. Now you know that there's people out there that want it. Maybe you've gone back and made modifications to the product when people gave you feedback and such. Now, can you walk us through the process of possibly manufacturing that product, or how now do you get it out to that market?
We spoke about licensing and manufacturing. So here you are, you did your own research. It's good if you did a patent search, right? See if it's something that in the archives, if it's something that could be your patent, not be your patent. Is it something that if you do manufacture that anybody else can manufacture too if it ends up doing well? Are you going to have intellectual property protection for 20 years or 15 years for a design patent? So these are things along the way to figure out. So we've done all that. Then we did a prototype. Then we filed that provisional patent application, so we're patent pending. Or if it's a design patent, maybe we just file the ornamental design of it, what it looks like. So now here we are. What do we do next? Well, who are you? Sometimes people are looking for a side hustle to be able to make some extra money. Some people want to take their idea and turn it into a full-time job. That's fine. But who are you? Are you busy? Do you have a family? Are you limited on funds? Are you a gazillionaire? I've had a few of those that came by my way at this, but they can buy or make anything that they want, and they still chose to possibly license their idea, or they want to make it themselves, or you're limited on funds, and how are you going to make it yourself? So these are the things that I figure out with you to help you to make a better decision. Is it something that you want to have another company manufacture, distribute, and you earn a royalty from it? Or do you want to make it yourself and make this into a side hustle, turn it into a possibly a full-time job, or continue to just make it into a side hustle? And that's okay too. So there's a lot of that question you asked could be in many different aspects, but you asked about manufacturing. So how do you manufacture? So like that paper towel topper, or my pull ties, or I have a collapsible egg tray that you put your eggs in, and as you take your eggs out, it goes back to this space that you need in your fridge. I call it extra space. There's a lot of things to figure out what to do and what not to do, but if I wanted to manufacture it, the best way is to ask for referral. Who is it that you use to manufacture, and how do you know that? Well, I built this community called Inventor Smart Community. I've run, like you mentioned before, National Inventor Club, and before that, I was running inventor groups for over 15 years. So there is a lot of people and are people that come to these communities, and we're able to talk. Hey, do you have an engineer? Do you have a prototyper? Do you have a factory? These are ways to be able to find who it is that you need to, and you get quotes, whether they're local in the US or overseas. Many people want to manufacture their product locally, and they do, but sometimes some of the products that they come up with, it might be 3 or 4 times the price to manufacture unless you make it in China or you make it in another country. And if you don't make it in that country and you try to sell it here for the same price that you're making it, you're not going to be in business. So unfortunately, we lose some of that manufacturing capability. But then when it comes off the boat or wherever, we have American citizens that are able to continue, and you're still in business. So it's a tough decision. I enjoy manufacturing here in the U.S. With products, and it's worked out because by the time it gets over here, it's the same price as what it would be to manufacture here. So that works out. And sometimes it doesn't. So you try to balance that. But yeah, you want to find a factory that makes similar products. So there's factories that are called contract manufacturers. So they're basically order takers. Whatever your design is, your CAD file that we spoke about, let's say that the engineer makes for you, you give it to them, and they can give a quote, and they can make it and package it and get it to you. And that's all they do, is take orders, make things for people or companies, and get it out the door. There's other factories that you might find that make something, and you're like, can you just also make mine, because I need a factory, and they can work with you too. Sometimes they might be busy with their own, or they're happy to help you. Depends on their situation. There's ways to go on. Thomasnet.com is a great resource to find a local contract manufacturer. You can also use Alibaba.com to find a factory. And there's other resources you could, if you're interested in manufacturing in India and other countries, they all have kind of like that platform to be able to find factories. But you got to vet them, and you got to make sure that you do your due diligence to know who it is that you're working with before you decide to move forward with them. So that's on the manufacturing side.
Awesome. And yeah, we can take a step back in that path and go the other fork in the road. When it comes to people who just want to have this as a side hustle, they want the royalties, the licensing. Can you walk us through that process?
So when I come up with an idea and I kind of go through those steps and I have a prototype, I might go to a company that has a similar product than me in the same kind of class of goods there. And I flip over the boxes and I see the companies and I write them down. And then I call them up, or I email them, or I connect up with them. And I say, hi, my name is Brian. I did my due diligence. I did a patent search. I made a prototype. Here I am. I have something I think that might align well with your product line. If you're interested, then I'm looking for you, Mr. and Mrs. Manufacturer of whatever, to manufacture my product, distribute it, because you have great distribution. You're in all the major retailers, or maybe you're not, and that's okay too. But, maybe you find out what type of distribution they have. So they make it, sell it, and you would receive a royalty payment from it. And that's what a lot of people hear is, they watch Shark Tank, or they hear Mr. Wonderful, and some of the other sharks talk about licensing and royalties, and that's what it is. So it's a small percentage of what most of the time it's of the wholesale price. So if something ends up costing $2 to make, and they sell it to Walmart for $5, and Walmart sells it for $12.99, on the $5 wholesale price, you would make a royalty. And look, the licensees, the company that would take and license from you, they're a licensee. You're with the intellectual property, you're the licensor. You would earn that small royalty. And when I say small, it could be anywhere from 1% to 5%. Sometimes it's 10%. But most of the time, it's relative to their distribution, because they might have higher margins. So like for this, for example, these Elmo Cookie Monster snack containers that I came up with, if you go to Walmart, they were $2.97. You go to the supermarket, it was $4.99, because they sell more at Walmart, right? So they do a higher volume and mass volume than, let's say, in the supermarket. So where is your potential licensee? How much distribution they have? And that's where you kind of gauge what kind of royalty. If you go to a licensee, a company that doesn't have that much distribution, they could give you 100%. You'll get nothing, right? 100% is zero. So you want to kind of figure out what their distribution channel is. Is it something that is worth it for them and for you? And is it going to make you and them money? So that's kind of the fork in the road on the licensing side. And I've done both. So like, for example, I've had this product. This is one of my older versions of my pull ties, but when you had bread, or you have bread, you have usually that twist tie or that plastic claw that goes on the end. So that annoyed me, because when I took it off, I couldn't put it back on, and the twist tie, I couldn't figure out which way it would go, and I'd just sit there for a while. So that annoyed me. I came out, and that's most of the time that's what happens when I come up with an idea. It's because something annoyed me and I need to figure out a better way, or I watch somebody do something that annoyed me and I try to find a way to solve it. So I came up with this product. It's called pull ties. You take any plastic bag, cereal bag, freezer bag, and you put it through the loop, and you push the button, you pull it up, and it would seal it tight. So this comes in all sizes now. So I was on QVC with this for almost 3 years. It was in Walmart, it was in Target, it was in drugstores, supermarkets, and it was a mix. I licensed this product for a while, and I earned royalties from it. I also manufactured it. So I would make it for X amount, and I'd sell it for X amount, and I would have that margin. So you have to figure out what's best for you. It could be a mix of both. It could be one or the other. But that's what's interesting, is that every person and every product is different, and everybody has a different path to hopefully achieving the success that they're looking for. And you know what? All that's great. We didn't even talk about this. It might just be, I might be happy just having a patent on my wall. That's it. That's all I want. I invented something and now I have a patent. Some people just do that. So everybody has their compelling reason to invent. But what's interesting is we're all inventors. We just don't realize it. What is an inventor, right? You're kind of going through that step, but people are always coming up with ideas. The question is, are you somebody that's going to stop and work on it? Or are you going to be somebody that says, 20 years ago, I thought of that idea and I would have, could have, should have, all those things. And here I am today, and I'm using that idea that I came up with. And maybe that stinks or that's okay. But that's the journey of when you come up with an idea.
I love that saying. Yeah, we are all inventors is a great way to put it, because, you know, anyone could be an inventor. Like you said, a doctor, a lawyer, you know, someone who's working at the gas station. They could be an inventor. They just don't know it yet.
Look, you are too.
Exactly. Yeah. So with people possibly wanting help, maybe wanting to join a community, you talked about the Inventors Smart Community app. Recently hit 1,000 subs in the application. Can you tell us a little more about that and what people can expect when they join that app?
I wanted a community that can, so I have, when I first started inventing, I was part of an inventor group, and that was great. And I thought that it could be kind of done differently. So I created my own inventor club, and that one kind of rolled up into this because they were needed a home anyway. So I took over that club, and then I turned it into the Long Island Inventors and Entrepreneurs Club. And then I had different government agencies that I would kind of align with to help me show that it was relevant and kind of a safe haven for people to share and collaborate. And then I converted it into the National Inventor Club. And I just wanted to keep doing more. So me personally, I had a podcast called Got Invention Radio, where I interviewed high profile inventors and resources for inventors. And then I had a show. Now I interview inventors that have product or ideas and help them to talk about their journey as an inventor, where no matter where they are in their process, and get the word out for them. And then I wanted to continue doing more. I authored 3 books. My latest book is How to Make Money with Your Invention Idea. So I'm just trying, and then I created an e-learning course called inventorclass.com, a 3-hour online e-learning course. So I'm trying to, and I am giving the tools for people to be able to get the right information from not just me, but people who are actually the people who you should be listening to. Like when I do my National Inventor Club, I always have people from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office giving some tips and advice, talking about events that are going on there. I have SCORE mentors to have inventor kind of, if you're starting a business or you have an idea, you have SCORE, Small Business Development Center, Small Business Administration, SBA, SBDC are the acronyms for those. And then also the Inventor Smart Community app. I wanted people to be able to just ask a question or talk anytime they want. All that's great this time and this time that you do it. An Inventor Club meeting happens this live stream, at 8 p.m. on this day. But what about all the rest in between? So that's why I invented the Inventor Smart Community app that you can download on Google Play, Apple App Store. And once you're in there, you have our very own social media for inventors. You have all these different tools and resources that are available to you. We feature inventors in the spotlight. We have trade show listing of upcoming trade shows. We have book club meetings. We have Q&A sessions. We have meet and greets that are live that we meet on Zoom. So there's so much activity that's going on there. And I'm proud that we just hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, the next stage is 2,500, 5,000, 10,000. But it's really something special, and where this community that just keeps growing. The National Inventor Club has many people that have been watching, and we live stream every month on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. So just continue to get the word out, and then work with you here to be able to share the information for people. And that's what I love to do. I feel like, giving people this information is just giving them some path of some decisions that they need to make. And one of the biggest ones is to work on it or not. There's so many people that when you come up with this idea, it's like this whole emotion of, oh my goodness, probably you with the podcast too. We got to do this. Like, oh my goodness, but are there the same, you and your brother together doing this? Is it just you? Is there the same exact podcast that's out there? What's going to make mine different? Right? So you're an inventor in your podcast, but on this side of it, it's like, what's going to make me different? Is this something that I should work on or not? Or not necessarily make me different, but what is my idea enough of a difference to be able to call my own, make a difference out in the market? So you got to take your emotion out of it and look at it from a business perspective, because when you're starting to invest in something, time, money, energy, effort, this is the most important part, is your research and development, right? That's why people make business plans. You don't have to necessarily make a business plan, but you need to know, or the best of your ability to know, that is this something to work on or not? And if it's not, it's okay to stop. It doesn't mean that you suck or you're a failure. It just means that you'll come up with the next idea soon, because you're in that zone, you're in that mindset. But don't work on something that you're just going to hit a brick wall. I happen to have the honor of speaking to an NFL player a couple of weeks ago, and he invented something and it already existed. And yeah, but this one, it's the same thing. You can make it, but it's the same thing. You can also buy that one, and because it's in the public domain, you can buy that one, put your name on it, and start selling it like it's yours today. But all that stuff that you need to do in between of developing it and going through all that, save that money. Put it, his daughter was right next to him, put it in your daughter's college fund. I just saved you money to be able to save it for the next one. So that's okay. And sometimes you need somebody to just be like, like, hold off. It's okay. You'll come up with the next one.
Yeah, wonderfully put. And anyone possibly watching and listening to this video, if you want to check out any of the resources that Brian just listed, they'll be in the link below. But to wrap it up, Brian, what's one big piece of advice you would give someone who has an idea and they want to get started?
Keep your passion going. You're always coming up with ideas. You're an inventor. Work on the ones that are the right ones, that have the potential, but not just selfishly for you, but for others too. And do your research. How many times did I talk about this during our session today? Go back. Step one. Is it something you should work on? Is it something that you can call your own? Is it something that you should put your time, money, energy, effort into? Listen to what people are telling you. If it's a brick wall that you're hitting, see how much of a difference you can make to kind of shift to the side and see the opening of that wall to keep moving forward. Or if you keep hitting it, move on to your next idea. Doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you'll come up with the next one. But you're a winner because you're not continuing on a path that is going to make you go around in a big circle, ending up where you are today. So it's important for you to work on the right product idea. And if it's not a product and it's a business or an app or a website, whatever, work on things that have potential. And if you have a hard time making that decision, this is what I do, is I work with you. I understand the idea at this point, and doing this for almost 20 years, I've practically been in every industry and category that you can imagine. And not that I have all the answers, but what I can do is understand who you are, understand the idea or the product or whatever it is that you're coming up with, and help you to make a better decision. And through this journey also, I've gotten a chance to work with companies, whether it's to speak or whether it's at a trade show speaking, at a company speaking. But I'm like anything else, problem solution. I'm a problem solution guy. So if you have a problem, I will help you to figure out what the solution is. And if you can't come up with that solution, is it a big enough problem to begin with? Is it something that, are you coming up with something that takes one step right now? And the way that you invented it takes 3 steps. It's pretty cool. But why do I need 2 extra steps to do this one thing? You're making me clean something now and take parts and pieces apart. And all I needed to do is this. So these are things that I help people to figure out before they continue. But any of the steps that they need help with along the way, I have access to at this point of doing this between my own inventions and working with other inventors. Even before our session today here, I had working with an engineer and a manufacturer and an inventor. So that's what I love to do, is help people project manage, help them to make better decisions, and then figure out what they need help with along the way and get it done.
Awesome. And Brian, outside of the Inventors Smart Community app, if someone wanted to reach out to you for some help or have some questions, how could they reach you?
Easiest way, I have my personal website, brianfried.com. You see it on the screen, but a lot of people spell my first name Brain for some reason. And if you say my last name the way it's spelled, then I'm brain fried. Don't do that. I don't have that domain name. But Brian Fried, BrianFried.com is my personal website. Inventor Smart Community is in the Google Play and Apple App Store. I have my National Inventor Club, which is also in the app. My e-learning course, inventorclass.com, and inventorsmart.com is my company website. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And it was great having you on here. Thank you for coming on today. It was a great one.
Thank you very much.
If you made it this far, then you sure do enjoy our podcast. So make sure you tune in every other Monday for new episodes. Be sure to watch our YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and Instagram Reels where we highlight the best parts of each episode. If not already, make sure you follow us on our socials, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks for listening, and we hope you learned more. Let's go learn more. Later, folks.